So welcome to the webinar this evening. We're talking about two programs here, the Master of Professional Accounting and the Master of Global Business. My name is Poppy. I'm the Recruitment and Engagement Manager here at the Professional Programs Office, and I have two lovely panelists with me today, and you'll get to meet them in a second, but we have the wonderful Rebecca Kennedy. She is from the Chartered Accountants Australia and New Zealand, commonly known as CANS. And we have the wonderful Fiona Mann, who is from Wellington University International, and that is our international team here at Victoria University of Wellington. So like I mentioned just before, we're going to have this webinar goes for about 45 minutes. We are going to cover off the subjects that I've mentioned today, and we do encourage you to send us some questions. So flick through, there should be a Q&A. We will get to questions live on air if we have enough time, but please send them through while I'm having a chat, and the ladies in the background will be able to answer those, or we'll have more of a discussion as we go throughout the programs. But I thought I would introduce first the university. I know we have quite a few international students joining us on this webinar this evening, so thank you so much for being here. Like I said, introduce the university. So we are Te Herenga Waka Victoria University of Wellington. There's some stats there about the university. So we are a medium-sized university here in New Zealand. We've got about 22,000 students, and that's spread across all of our programs, subjects and degrees and postgraduate programs. We are based in Wellington, which is the capital city. Down the bottom there on my screen, you should see a beautiful picture of Wellington on a lovely sunny day. And in that image there, it shows you our different campuses. So we are spread across the capital city, and we're based at the Pipitiya campus for the business school. And I will talk about that in a little bit more detail as we go on. Here's a nice snapshot of Wellington though, so if you aren't familiar, so Wellington's the capital city of New Zealand, and we've got 500,000 people on average who live here. There again, you should see a beautiful image of Wellington on your screen. So the university and its three campuses are dotted around the capital city, and the business school itself, so the Wellington School of Business and Government, it's right in the heart of the business district. And I'm going to show you some pictures of where we're located as we go throughout. Wellington, though, is a really, really vibrant city. It's a student city as well. It's full of life with our students, and there's a lot of entrepreneurship, lots of cafes, a really good cultural scene. So do visit us if you are in New Zealand. But I want to talk a little bit more about who we are and what the programs are that I'm going to be mentioning today. So we are the Wellington School of Business and Government. So we are a faculty part of the wider university. And like I mentioned, we are located right in that business district. I'm not sure if you can see the picture because it's quite small, but I'll show you a close-up further on. But we do have Parliament, if you can see my mouse, and just behind it is the business school. So we're right there in the middle of everything that's going on with all the courts, the ministries, and all that government and entrepreneurship, like I said. You'll also see that we have down the bottom there some accreditations. So the accreditations listed are our Triple Crown accreditation. And that's an accreditation that business schools around the world strive to get. And we're very lucky we do have our programs accredited by this Triple Crown. So you can know that your qualification is world known. And so if you are applying for jobs in New Zealand or overseas, that people understand what a business program at Victoria University of Wellington is. We are, there's a little bit more of a close-up on my screen there. So if you're familiar with Wellington, you should notice the beehive. That's our political centre, that's our government building, and Parliament is the square building just to the side of that. Across the road there is our law school, so that's a white building with a red roof. And just to the side, the tall office-looking building, that is the business school itself. So we really are right in the middle of everything that is going on. And we really draw on that for our programs. So we get a lot of guest lectures to come in and speak to our students, but we also have a lot of hands-on and applied learning and encourage our students to have internships or consultancy projects and really get immersed in the business community, the business and government community that they are studying in. Here's a wee snapshot of what's inside our campus. So that lovely tall office building you could see. Here's an image of our library. So it is a really modern campus. It's dedicated just for our business students down here. And like I mentioned, across the road is our law school. So everything you'll need for your studies you'll find in this building here, which is called Rutherford House. So the top image there is of our library. The building itself has just undergone a massive renovation. And the bottom image on my screen, that's our dedicated student study space. So when we mention the professional programs, and I will explain a little bit more about what that means, but we talk about a group of students and a group of qualifications that work towards or help people with their professional career. All of our programs that we look after, our students can access this study space, so it's just for our professional program students, and that helps you with the networking between the students that you're studying alongside, but also other professional students in all of our programs, which ranges, it's quite a large list here, it's about 10 different programs to help you no matter what stage of your career that you're in. So we will deep dive now more into the professional programs, like I said, and the two in particular that we're going to be talking through today. But before I delve into the two programs that we're going to be mentioning this evening, I want to talk a little bit about the similarities between our programs before we go into talk about the individualness of each of them. So like I mentioned, the professional programs is a suite of 10. And how we best describe them to people is no matter what career stage you're in your journey, we have a program that will suit you. So we tend to divide those programs into 3 different areas. The first area is for students who are wanting to kickstart their career. So these are typically recent graduates or graduates who don't have a huge amount of work experience or don't have a huge amount of work experience in the particular area that they're wishing to study. So both of the programs I'm going to talk to tonight, they fall into that category, and you don't have to have a business or accounting background to study either of these programs. The next category we have is a category for people who are wanting to change or transition within their careers. So you may have a couple of years of work experience, but you're looking for that next step. Again, these programs fall quite nicely into that gap because you can have a wealth of work experience in a different area, but you're looking at transitioning or moving into the business side or the accounting background. We have other programs, again, that fall under a government and other things like that. So if you are thinking about transitioning and you're not too sure these programs don't feel right for you tonight, then we do have some other programs you can look at. And then finally, we have programs for students who are looking at upskilling or enhancing. So these are programs that are going to use the knowledge that you have, whether it's academic or whether that's work experience, and help you build on those to help you excel in your career. The programs have all been designed, though, with that career focus in mind. So embedded into the program, alongside the academic content you're going to learn, there's a lot of professional development. And that means means a different range of things. So embedded into our programs, we have a lot of networking. So this is networking that you might do with your peers in your program. Like I mentioned before, we have networking though with everybody who's studying these programs in that professional program student study space. We regularly hold networking events, again, that spans the whole professional program network. And then there's also specifically for some programs, there's industry-specific networking events that we host. There's webinars you can attend, there's in-person events. So it's really there to help you expand your career network. The people who teach you as well are really great connectors, so they can help you with that networking, but they're also a wealth of knowledge. So our academics, they've got intellectual firepower, they're really amazing in their field. So I encourage you to look at who will be teaching you in these programs, get to know their research, get to know their speciality, because you do get these really nice small class sizes and you get to connect really well with these industry experts, and they have a lot of connections out there in the field as well. So that's some of the similarities. I will talk about some more similarities as I explain these programs, but I know that you're all here this evening to learn specifically about these 2 master's programs we have on offer, so I will kick into those. So the first one we're going to be talking about is the first one on our screen there, which is the Master of Professional Accounting, or you might see it written down as the MPA. So a lot of our courses, they have these short codes. So if you are wanting to find out more information on the website, the short codes are a nice way to find the program quite easily. So Our Master of Professional Accounting, like I mentioned, is for anybody. So if you have a bachelor's degree, it doesn't have to be in accounting. You can look at taking this program. So our program is one of only 2 universities in New Zealand which have this AACSB accreditation, and worldwide there's only 1% of business schools with this accreditation. So it's a really high and well-valued qualification. Now, the duration here, we often get asked about how long it takes for students to study, and it takes 16 or 19 months, depending on what pathway you choose. And we will explain a little bit more about those pathways. You'll also see we list trimesters. So we talk about trimesters here at the university. Other universities sometimes call this a semester or a term. It's really our teaching period throughout the year. So across the year, we have 3, which is why we call them trimesters. So trimester 1 runs from February to June. Trimester 2 is July till October. And then our summer period, we call that trimester 3, which is November to February. Both programs I'm talking about tonight have a trimester 3 intake, which means you can start studying in November for these programs. So that's what we mean there when we say it could take 4 or 5 trimesters. We're talking about those periods, but sometimes it's easier to think about it in how many months it's going to take you to complete. Now, the delivery of these programs, they're here to fit around people working. So you can take classes either midday or you can do evening classes. Like I mentioned, this is best suited for a graduate from any discipline, so it is really open what your career goals might be. This program, if you're interested in accounting and building up those skills, then this is a good program for you. Now, the pathways I mentioned before, we do have 2 different pathways, and that's the difference in the study duration. And that depends if you want to do a traditional Masters of Professional Accounting, or if you're looking at this new Chartered Accountants pathway. And that's what Rebecca is going to be talking about in a little bit more detail as we go throughout. So to be accepted into this program, you do need to have a bachelor's degree. Like I've said, though, it can be in any discipline. You do not need to have a background in accounting or business. The way the program has been set up, it assumes students don't have a background in that. So if you are feeling nervous, please don't worry too much. Our academics are there to support you and make sure that you get all the content that you need to know. You also need to be approved by the program director. So that is a person called Christopher Cripps. And if you do want to talk to him, let us know and we can connect you. And if you are an international student looking to study with us, you will need to provide proof of English proficiency. And Fiona, who will be talking to you shortly, she will explain what that means and where you can find the information about it. But the 2 pathways, like I mentioned, so we have the traditional MPA pathway and the Chartered Accountants one. And I'm going to talk you through the similarities, but also the differences here. So you should see the traditional pathway on the screen right now. And it mentions it's 16 courses. It is a 240-point master's program, and it takes 4 trimesters or 16 months to complete. By taking this qualification, you will meet the CANS academic accreditation requirement. So you will meet the requirements for all the academic courses that you need to be taking. Now, this Chartered Accountants pathway, which is the other one that we're talking about this evening, you take more courses here. So you take 12 of the core courses and the same ones as the traditional pathway, but then you take a different set of 5 CANS module courses. And again, Rebecca will explain in more detail about what they are. The program is also 240 points. So it's the same amount of points as the traditional pathway. And what that means to you is it doesn't actually cost you any more to do this Chartered Accountants pathway compared with the traditional MPA pathway. It will take you a little bit longer though. It is 5 trimesters worth of study or 19 months. But with this Chartered Accountants pathway, you do meet the CANS academic, but also the technical requirements that you need to become a Chartered Accountant. So think some key points to note here. Like I said, it's the same cost for both pathways. It's the same amount of points. The Chartered Accountant pathway does cost a little bit more, sorry, not cost more, so it takes a little bit longer, but it doesn't cost you any more. We're also really proud that this pathway is exclusive to Victoria University of Wellington in New Zealand for the next wee while. And our students who are doing this pathway, it's a really good way to get ahead in your career. So we do just building, on what I mentioned before, we are the only accounting program in New Zealand to meet both the academic and the technical requirements for CANS. And that's a reason a lot of our students do choose to study with us. So we've got Alzina here, she's an MPA student, and I was speaking to her the other day and she said through her research, that was one of the big things that really appealed to her. She could come and complete her master's with her and then tick off not just the academic requirements, but the technical requirements as well. But I'm not an expert in the chartered accountancy area, so I am going to invite Rebecca to talk to you a little bit more about what that means and the careers that you can get by doing the chartered accountancy pathway. Rebecca, you might need to unmute yourself.
I have unmuted myself.
Oh, perfect. There you are. You popped up.
Are you able to start my video though, Poppy? Because I can't start my video because host has stopped it.
Oh, yes. Bear with me if you want to do introductions while I am starting your video.
All right, kia ora everyone. My name is Rebecca Kennedy. I'm a Careers Engagement Manager at Chartered Accountants, and quite obviously Poppy and I chose not to study IT, and you can tell it's showing when you have some technical difficulties, but hopefully that doesn't stop us from having an amazing session. There we go. Kia ora. So I'm really excited to be here as part of this presentation with all of you tonight. I'm a little bit biased in that I think accounting is the single greatest, most exciting, interesting, dynamic profession that you could possibly ever imagine. So kudos to all of you for engaging with this presentation and coming along to find out what studying accounting might look like and where a career as a chartered accountant might be able to take you. And the chartered accountants are sought after by employers all over the world. Employers really look for chartered accountants because of their unique skill set, because of their commercial acumen, their ethical judgment, their professionalism, and also their leadership abilities. So if you're able to get that CA designation next to your name, you know that it's something that's trusted and internationally recognized. So if you become a chartered accountant, it really does become your passport to an international career. And we will touch on career pathways and what that might look like in a little bit. But if we talk about a passport to a career, how do you get that passport? How do you become a chartered accountant? So in order to become a chartered accountant, you need to complete our professional program, which we call the CA program. In order to enter the CA program, you firstly need to have a recognised bachelor's or master's degree, and you also need to meet academic requirements that are prerequisites for entry into the program. So if you study the traditional MPA at Victoria University of Wellington, that's what it will give you. Your Masters of Professional Accounting gives you that recognised master's degree, but it also makes sure that all of the papers that you do tick off all of those knowledge areas we need as a prerequisite into the CA program. So once you complete your Masters of Professional Accounting, you can then complete a provisional membership application to Chartered Accountants. We have a look at your transcript, make sure that you've met all the requirements, and then you become a provisional member with us. Once you're a provisional member, you get to enroll in the CA program. Now the CA program has two main components to it. The first one is a study component. So that's where you complete 5 technical modules, which also include professional exams. The second component is 3 years of relevant work experience under the guidance of a chartered accountant mentor. So that's your pathway to chartered accountancy if you do the traditional MPA pathway. So you do your 16 months MPA, provisional membership, you then do your 5 technical modules and also your 3 years practical experience. However, if you do the MPA with the CA pathway, you can kind of fast track your way to becoming a chartered accountant a little bit. What that means is when you do your MPA papers, the CA program technical modules, all 5 of them, are actually embedded into the study that you're doing while you're completing your MPA. So it means when you graduate, not only do you have your MPA, but you've also completed all 5 technical modules, which means that all that's outstanding in your CA program is just to get your 3 years relevant practical experience. Now I've talked to Alzina and some of the other students in the MPA program as well who chose the CA pathway. And I said to them, why did you choose the CA pathway versus the traditional? And they had 2 main reasons for me. The first one was they really liked the idea that they could do these professional exams and our Chartered Accountant program technical modules under the guidance of the academic staff of Victoria University of Wellington. They really liked that they had academics that they could go to and ask questions and just get that extra support to give them far more confidence about their studies. And then the second reason they gave me is they really wanted to jumpstart their ability to become part of the profession. So the fact that they were able to do their technical modules while they were studying meant that they also became provisional members of Chartered Accountants while they were studying, which meant that that opened up access to all of the benefits of membership. And they were able to start attending events, accessing member resources, starting to network with the accounting community and profession, and actually start to build their profile as an emerging accountant, which they found really exciting and amazing and a really great opportunity. Right, next slide. All right, so you've done your MPA and you're either currently a provisional membership working through the CA program, or you've finished the CA program. But where does that take you? Where do you land? What's the aspiration of why you want to do that and where you could go? And when people ask me where Chartered Accountancy can take them, I say, honestly, the opportunities are limitless. When we talk about Chartered Accountants, we often talk about difference makers. The idea that Chartered Accountants are out there on the front lines in a whole host of different organisations making a difference. Not just for the organisations, but for communities, for economies, and for society. It sounds very lofty, but accountants really do make a difference. But you also get to make a difference for yourself personally as well. When you become a chartered accountant and you become a qualified professional, you really are committing to a lifetime of learning and upskilling and a process of really building yourself up as a professional, which is really, really exciting. So in terms of career pathways, I know when I was a student studying accounting, I didn't think there was much you could do with an accounting degree, to be perfectly honest. I thought you would sit at a desk and I thought you'd do some tax returns and maybe some end of year reports, and there were some numbers and some calculators thrown in, and that's all of that accounting was. But chartered accountants these days can be found in the real engine room driving all sorts of organisations, from accountancy firms to commercial firms, corporates, government, charities, not-for-profits, and anything in between that I've missed. And the range of work that accountants can do is so dynamic and interesting, and you can really find something that suits your own skill set and your personality and your value set as well. And if we look at the accounting careers of the future, they're far beyond just your traditional service lines of audit and taxation, financial accounting and management accounting. You can move into some super cool dynamic areas that are still actually evolving. Forensic accounting, you can look at public accounting or rural agricultural accounting. Accountants are having a huge role to play in cybersecurity and risk management and consultancy, corporate finance, strategic performance. The options are honestly limitless. So when you're thinking about becoming a difference maker, think about that sort of difference that you want to make, because no matter what your value set, there's somewhere where with your accounting skill set, you'll be able to actually make a difference. And if you're not sure what that difference you can make looks like yet, that's one of the things that I'm here for. So I think my contact information will be up at the end of the presentation. Please feel free to get in touch with me. I would love to hear about your experience and your story and your journey, and help you work out exactly where a career in accounting might be able to take you. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Rebecca. So we will pause now if people do have questions specifically about the MPA. So we don't have any questions at the moment, so do fire them through. Otherwise, we will move on and start talking about the Master of Global Business, but we will come back to questions. And like I said, if we don't have time to answer them live this evening, we will contact everybody who sent a question through and answer them for them. We also, I've just had one of my colleagues said that my screen was a little bit too small while Rebecca was talking, so we will send the slides out. So if you do want to see some examples of those careers that Rebecca was talking about, and so talking about those steps that she mentioned, we will also be sending that out. But for the next time when we're doing this, feel free to click on my slide. You will get a beautiful big picture of my face, so please ignore that, but you will be able to see the slides while Fiona is talking. So looks like we don't have any questions coming through here. So thank you, Rebecca. She is going to be here in the background as well, so do fire questions through. But we will move on now to our Master of Global Business. So for the Master of Global Business, it is really similar to the Master of Professional Accounting, with how it's set up, who it's for. So I'm not going to go into too much information if it doesn't differ from the Master of Professional Accounting, other than to say it is for students who are interested in global business and you do not need to have a background in it. It is a program which it takes 12 months, so it's a little bit shorter than our Master of Professional Accounting, and it's taught in 3 trimesters. So it is that 12-month calendar year. A really exciting development we've had with this program is that you can now start it in any trimester. So if you're not sure when you want to start, definitely look at it for the November start time. But if you can't make it then, you can look at starting at other periods. It is taught a little bit differently to the Master of Professional Accounting, where it has weekday classes, and those weekday classes are in blocks. So what that means is you come in for a couple of hours on a set day, and that's when you have your weekly class. If you're studying full time, it means you will be on campus a fair amount, because you will be having your blocks for every single class that you're taking. And it's about 4 courses, 3 or 4 courses you'll be taking for full-time study. And again, there it's best suited for graduates from any discipline wanting to kickstart your career. To be accepted into this master's program, it is similar to the Master of Professional Accounting, where you do need a bachelor's degree, which can be in any discipline. But with this program here, you do need to be average. You also need to be accepted by the program director, similar to the other masters. And the program director for this one is Christian Yao. You also, if you're an international student, need proof of English proficiency. And again, we will explain what that means in a little bit more detail shortly. Now, the structure of this program is a little bit more flexible than the Master of Professional Accounting, because you're not needing to meet the accounting requirements for the other program. So how it's split up is we have 6 core courses, and the core courses here are to give you a really strong foundation in global business. So you take courses in management and marketing and global strategy and managing people across cultures. So it gives you that really solid foundation. Then you get to take electives. So 4 electives or 4 interest courses. And these interest courses here are to help make the degree your own. So it gives you that special flavor. So if you're interested in global business, but also marketing, then you can take electives in the marketing area. And if you take enough courses in one particular area, you can end up with a specialization. Students can choose whether to specialize or not. So it just means if they don't specialize, they have some more flexibility to take different subjects, where specialization means more subjects in a particular area in those elective courses. We then finished the program with a consultancy project. So this is where students use all the skills and the knowledge that they've built up through their core courses and their electives. And in their final trimester of studying with us, it's where they get partnered with an organization and use the skills to help them with a business issue. So this project is you do a brief, you do research, and you work with the business and help them with a global issue that they may be facing. It's very big on applied learning, similar to our Masters of Professional Accounting. The idea is that you're going to finish and end up with skills that you can start using in your career straight away. So like the consultancy projects that I mentioned just before, you're having skills that you can learn and use. Also through our teaching, we have lots of ways to engage online. We have a project in the Managing People Across Cultures, where you actually get put into an interactive team with people all across the world and work together to help solve a project and work with people. So the learnings that you're getting is really applicable and really useful for you in your early career. So talking about careers, there's many different things you can do. It depends as well if you look to specialise in a certain area, that can help you with your certain career goals. But if you want to take a mixture of electives, it's going to give you a really strong foundation in global business, global strategy, working with people, and understanding how the inner workings of business work. So we do, like I mentioned when I was talking about the general professional programs at the very beginning, there's a lot of stuff embedded into your program, but then also networking events. We have a fantastic award-winning careers team on site as well to help you with whatever your career step might be, and that's for this program and the Master of Professional Accounting. So that was quite a nice quick summary of that program. So again, we'll open up if there are any questions that people may have for this one. While we're just waiting for questions to come through, a common question that I do get asked is about people starting in any trimester and what courses that they should take. So the 6 core courses that I mentioned, they are spread out across the 3 trimesters. So no matter what trimester you start in, you take 2 of the global business core. Then alongside that, if you're studying full-time, you take 2 elective courses in each trimester up until your final trimester, which is where you take that consultancy project. The program itself is 11 courses, so it is a 180-point masters. So your final course, that consultancy project, is a 30-point course, which just means it takes, it's more work than just a 15-point course. So it's a full-time program for our students. So I've just had a question here which just pops up and says, for international students, can the offer be deferred for the next intakes? We will get to that question. I will flick to the next slide because I'm going to introduce our international expert, and she's going to talk a little bit more about that. So we will pop in to the next slide, and I will introduce Fiona Mann from the Wellington University International team.
Can you see me?
Yeah, you're there and loud, so perfect.
Great. Okay, great. Well, good evening, everyone. I'm really excited to be here as part of this Wellington Business School information session. My name's Fiona, as Poppy mentioned, and I work at Wellington University International. So our international office deals with pretty much everything international at the university. So from your application, from applying to the university, to enrolment, to any issues you have when you are here, insurance, visa, pastoral care, student support. So we are kind of all the way through the process. You also have to apply directly to the international office to any programs. So our domestic students in New Zealand will have one application process and they'll apply through one office, and international students will apply directly to the international office. So a little bit, so it's, oh, sorry, I can't see the slide. Let me just pin that slide so I can see what is written there. Okay, great. So do you want to go to the next slide, Poppy? Oh, that's proof of English. Okay. So when you apply to the university as an international student, it depends really on where you're applying from. So some students might have to apply and use an agent, and you'll use an agent to submit all of your documents. Some students, you may be able to apply directly online. So please do go to our website and have a look, put in what your nationality is and where you're from, and then it will tell you what process you should go through to apply. Applying is generally quite straightforward. So you just need to fill in an application form, which you can find on our website. It's just a couple of pages. It's pretty straightforward. You're always going to need the fundamental application documents will be an application form, copy of your passport, and your academic transcripts. Some programs require extra information. For example, the Master of Global Business, you do have to submit some extra documents, which Poppy will probably tell you about, and likewise for the Master of Professional Accounting. But in addition to that, for international students, you need your application form, your passport, and your academics. If English is not your first language, or if you have not studied at an institution that teaches in English, then you will need to also meet our proof of English requirement. So basically at postgraduate level, this is equivalent to an IELTS of 6.5. So we also accept PTE, TOEFL, Cambridge, NZCEL. So you can see all of them in detail on this slide and also on our website. If you have studied at an English institution or in an English-speaking country, then your English requirement may be able to be waived. So please do get in touch with us and we'll let you know if you meet those requirements. During COVID-19, we understand that some students will not be able to get to a testing centre. So we do have some other special requirements specifically during this period for students who are applying in 2020 or 2021. So these are all on our international website, so please go to see them if you do want to see the detail. But in addition to what's on the slide here, we're also accepting the TOEFL IBT Special Home Edition test and the IELTS indicator test. And for students who live in mainland China and Iran only, they can submit the Duolingo English test. So to have a look more at the detail, please go to our website. So that's a bit about application, about English. If you don't meet our English program, we actually also do have an English proficiency program. So if you would like to, if you haven't met the 6.5 equivalent in IELTS and you need to study a little bit more and you do want to do that in New Zealand, we also have an English language program, which is for 12 weeks. And if you pass that test, then you'll meet the academic entry requirements for the program. So that is also on our website as well. So lastly, I just wanted to talk a little bit about scholarships. So we do not have any full scholarships at the university. So only if you're doing maybe a PhD or research later on, you'll be able to potentially apply for a full scholarship. We do have partial international scholarships. So our main one for international students is called the Tongarewa Scholarship. This one, students can gain between $5,000 and $10,000 towards their tuition fees. We do have 3 rounds per year that you can apply, so it doesn't matter if you're starting in trimester 1, 2 or 3, you'll be able to apply for that. For students from Latin America as well, we do have a Latin American Excellence Scholarship which you can apply for, and this is also worth a similar view. So do check out the scholarships page. You might be eligible for other scholarships that are very specific to you and your situation, but those are the 2 international ones I wanted to highlight here today. So for Sam's question, for international students, can the offer be deferred for the next intake? Yes, it can. So you can apply for your offer to be deferred. It's not automatic though. So it does go back to the program director and they do have to accept it again. So usually it is quite straightforward unless you've told that you're going into a limited entry or competitive program. But it's not kind of automatic. You do need to apply. But it's really great that we've got so many intakes for these programs now. So if you do need to defer, then you don't need to wait too long to be able to start it again. I'm not sure if the international students are in the country at the moment or if they're overseas at the moment, but we do get quite a few questions about the borders. When are they going to open? When are students going to be able to come into the country? So we don't know. You will know probably when we know when the borders are open. So we hope that they will be open in time. Well, international students will be able to come into the country early next year, but it is really hard to tell with this forever changing COVID-19 situation. So we are processing applications as per usual. So students are applying to come in trimester 3 and trimester 1. Closer to that stage, we'll know what the situation is, and then you'll be given the option to defer your studies, or for some programs, maybe start your studies online as well. So we will keep you updated, but once you do have an application in our system, then we will be able to update you on everything that is happening in that area and support you the best that we can for you to come and start your studies with us. Great. Did you have any other questions? Does anyone have any questions? Or Poppy, did you want me to mention something else specifically about international?
No, I thought that was perfect. We'll wait to see if there are other questions, but I do just want to add with these two programs, if international students are applying, we are seeing the numbers of students coming in. So if you're not sure whether or not you can make it to the country for your trimester 3 intake, definitely keep in touch with us, because we are looking at offering online options. So for this trimester that we started on Monday, we do have options for students online and in person. So we are very flexible, and we can talk to students about their situation and see what we can do for the particular program that they're interested in. And I know we've been in touch, Sam, so yeah, we will definitely keep in touch and give you all the information that we can about what it's going to look like going forward for trimester 3 and then into 2021. Perfect. There doesn't seem to be any questions at the moment. So thank you, Fiona. Again, Fiona's sticking around in the back. We do just have a couple more slides that I will go through. And so please do definitely fire those questions through if you do have them. The last few slides are really for domestic students, because Fiona covered the international students there. But just to quickly touch on scholarships for our domestic based students, again, it's really similar. The scholarship database that I have listed on the screen, so go to our website and then /scholarships. That's a really good database that lists all of the scholarships available in New Zealand right now, and specifically for Victoria University of Wellington, but also other independent scholarships. They change quite regularly, new ones get added, some scholarships close. So I do recommend just keeping an eye on that scholarship database to see what's out there and what you can apply for. The link I have at the bottom there, study link, again, this is for domestic students. This is the way that people can get some government support for their study. So it's our student loan scheme in New Zealand. So if you are a domestic based student, definitely have a look at study link, because they can help you with your fees. Then apply. So for the international students, Fiona went over this application process just before. So if you do have questions, again, flick them through. But I will just mention the domestic student application, because it is a little bit different to our international students. This one here, again, you can apply online, but and you can apply right now for trimester 3, so our November start. If you're looking at starting any later than trimester 3, you can't apply just yet. Our application opens in October. Now, you do have to have some supporting documents, just like Fiona mentioned for our international students. And these are things like proof of residency, your passport, and for your for the Master of Global Business, you do need to supply, this is both for domestic and international students, a statement of your career intent. So explaining what you want to get out of the program, what your goals are, and really, yeah, what you see your career goals might be for the next 5 to 10 years. All of your documents, including your academic transcript from previous study, goes to our academic program leads, so Chris and Christian that I mentioned before, and they do assess your application, and then they will give you, if you're successful, an offer of study. So if you are thinking about studying November, I've got the date there for our domestic students. It's the 27th of October. Sometimes applications can take a little bit of time, so we do encourage you to apply sooner rather than later, just so we can start the application process for you and be able to help you work out what courses and things like that you might want to do. And the final thing I'm going to touch on is just how you can get in touch with us. So we are, hopefully you've realised this evening, we are very friendly. We do love to help you. It can be very confusing working out what the right course might be for you, or what the right program is, how you apply. So do definitely get in touch if you are confused or just want a little bit more support. The first email address we have there, ppo@vuw.ac.nz, that comes through to my team. So that's, we can direct queries through to Fiona and her team at Wellington University International. We can direct queries to the academic program leads that I've mentioned, or just connect you with anyone that you might want to talk to. The email address at the bottom there, that's Rebecca. So she is separate to the university. So we are very grateful that she's given up her time this evening to be with us. And she's more than happy to to answer questions from people. So please definitely get in touch with her if you have questions about anything she mentioned tonight and those technical requirements and anything that goes with your chartered accountancy. The other link on the screen that I will mention is our web address. So WGTN stands for Wellington, so wgtn.ac.nz. That's our website, and hopefully you've all found it because you registered for the event this evening. But if you say / after that and professional, that takes you to our portal. So all the qualifications that we look after in the professional programs are listed there. So if you do want to explore a little bit more about the programs we've talked about this evening or any others that fall under the professional program umbrella, then please have a look. How we've designed a lot of our programs is to be flexible. And so if you've got an interest in one area, but maybe want to take an elective from a different subject or a different qualification, that is possible. So it's a really good idea to see what's out there, what qualifications or what subjects you might be interested in. And I find the easiest place to find all that information is through the professional programs portal. So that link is quite useful as well. What we will do now is, I appreciate we've gone 5 minutes over time, so we will put that screen up again, and so feel free to disappear if you don't have any questions, but do send through some questions through the Q&A chat and we will answer them that way. But otherwise, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hopefully that's answered some of your questions, and do definitely contact us if you do need any more support. Mā te wā.